The statement arrives quietly, not as a warning, not as an alert, just another line added to the list. You're skimming, half-focused, looking for the balance, the total, the part that matters. Then your eyes stop on something small, a fee, not large enough to cause panic, not dramatic enough to demand attention. It sits there, understated, almost polite. Late fee, processing fee, penalty. You don't remember missing anything important. You don't remember deciding to be late. You replay the week in your head. Work ran long. One bill blended into another. The due date passed without a sound. The amount is small, but it doesn't feel accidental. It feels placed. You pay it without arguing. You always do. The cost isn't worth the time. The explanation would take longer than the fee itself. You tell yourself it's your fault. A simple mistake, a one-off. But this isn't the first time you've seen it, and you already know it won't be the last. You scroll further down the statement. Everything else looks normal. Services delivered, payments accepted, nothing broken, nothing disputed. Just that extra line quietly taking its share. It doesn't feel like punishment. It feels like routine. Fees like this don't arrive as surprises anymore. They arrive as background noise. Something you've learned to expect, even when you don't expect to earn them. You've seen them on credit cards, on utility bills, on phone plans, on bank statements. Different names, same effect. A small charge attached to time, a price assigned to delay. What's strange isn't that they exist. It's how quickly they stopped feeling optional. You don't argue them. You don't challenge them. You don't even slow down to read the explanation most of the time. You recognize the pattern instantly. Miss the window? Pay the price. Everyone knows the rule. That familiarity creates something subtle, a quiet acceptance. The fee isn't framed as revenue, it's framed as fairness. You were late. The system responded. End of story. Except the system never feels surprised. The deadlines are firm. The penalties are precise. The charge appears exactly when expected, already calculated, already approved. No review, no discretion, no human pause. It's handled the same way every time, regardless of the reason. What feels like accountability begins to feel mechanical, not corrective, predictive. If late fees were rare accidents, they wouldn't matter much. If they were designed only for extreme cases, they wouldn't show up so consistently. But they do. They appear across millions of accounts month after month at predictable rates. Not because everyone is careless, but because the system quietly expects a portion of users to fall behind. Not all, just enough. Billing structures are built around that expectation. Due dates are fixed. Grace periods are narrow. Reminders are optional. The rules don't adapt to your week, your workload, or your attention. They don't need to. The system doesn't require everyone to fail. It only requires that some people always will. And over time, that some becomes statistically reliable. From the outside, it still looks fair. You miss the date. You pay the fee. Clean cause and effect. No deception required. But inside the structure, the fee isn't an anomaly. It's a line item. Revenue that doesn't depend on new customers. Revenue that doesn't depend on better service. Revenue that flows from predictable human behavior. Forgetting, delaying, juggling too much at once. The mistake feels personal. The profit is collective. This is where the tension settles in, because the rules aren't hidden. You can find them in the fine print. The due dates are printed clearly. The penalties are disclosed. Nothing is technically concealed, and yet the outcome feels unavoidable. Not because you don't understand the rules, but because the rules were never designed for perfect compliance. They were designed for normal people. People with distractions, people with overlapping bills, people whose attention doesn't reset cleanly every billing cycle. The fee doesn't exist to correct behavior. If it did, it would disappear once behavior changed. But it doesn't. It repeats. Quietly, reliably. Over time, the pattern becomes familiar enough to ignore, but frequent enough to matter. A few dollars here, a few there. Always small, always justified, always your responsibility. Individually, each fee feels fair. Collectively, they feel built in. And once you notice that, it becomes harder to see late fees as accidents. They start to look like expectations, not exceptions to the system. features of it. Once you start noticing penalty pricing, it stops feeling isolated. It's not just one bank, it's not just one bill. The same structure repeats across systems that have nothing to do with each other. Credit cards, utilities, phone plans, internet service, even government-related payments. Different industries, same logic. Deadlines are fixed, penalties are automatic, appeals are rare. The system doesn't ask why you were late. It doesn't check whether you've been consistent for years. It doesn't consider whether the delay was minutes or days. The rule activates and the charge appears. That consistency is the point. Automation removes discretion. And when discretion disappears, penalties stop being judgments and start becoming processes. The fee is no longer a response to behavior. It's the output of a clock. This creates a strange imbalance. The organization collects penalties at scale, without effort, without review, without friction. The individual absorbs them one by one, each time feeling like a personal failure. The effort is asymmetrical. The benefit is one-sided. And because each fee is small, it rarely triggers resistance. It slides through unnoticed, folded into the total, absorbed into the routine cost of living. If penalty fees were meant to change behavior, you would expect them to decline over time. As reminders improved, as apps became smarter, as automation helped people stay on schedule, instead they persist. Not because reminders don't exist, but because reminders are optional, while penalties are guaranteed. Notifications can be missed, emails can be ignored, but the system never forgets. The structure quietly benefits from human imperfection. It doesn't need to eliminate mistakes. It just needs to monetize them. And because the system works at scale, even a small failure rate becomes meaningful. Millions of accounts, millions of billing cycles, a predictable percentage of late payments. That predictability turns penalties into a stable revenue stream. One that doesn't require new products, new services, or new customers. Just time. The fees don't feel aggressive. They don't need to be. Their power comes from repetition, from normalization, from the way they blend into the background of financial life. Over time, you stop seeing them as charges. You see them as friction, as something unavoidable, as the cost of being human inside a system that never pauses. At some point, the story shifts. Not suddenly, not all at once. You stop thinking, I made a mistake, and start thinking, this happens. The responsibility still feels personal, but the pattern no longer does. The same outcome appears too often, across too many places, under too many different circumstances. The realization isn't anger, it's recognition. The system doesn't need you to fail every time. It only needs you to fail sometimes. And it knows that statistically, you will. Once that clicks, the fees stop feeling like punishments. They start feeling like assumptions, built into the structure, expected, planned, budgeted for. The rules haven't changed, but your understanding of them has. What once felt like fairness now feels like design. Penalty pricing doesn't look predatory. It looks orderly. Clear rules, clear deadlines, clear consequences. But beneath that clarity is a quiet calculation. A recognition that human attention is inconsistent, and that inconsistency can be priced. Late fees persist not because people don't learn, but because systems don't need them to. They function best when a small amount of failure is always present. The fee isn't there to stop mistakes. It's there because mistakes are expected. And once you see that, the charge on the statement no longer feels random. It feels like part of the structure you're already inside.